One that I face a lot at MIT is emergency notification. I think a lot of us are still dealing with that. A lot of best practices have emerged, but we're all still kind of trying to figure out how to do it on our own at our own institutions. The second, I think, is engaging all different aspects of the community. So at the university, we have faculty, staff, students, we have visitors, we have parents, we have senior leadership, and we're trying to engage all of them and make them all committed to our cause of emergency preparedness, and so that is challenging. The third is that I think in looking towards the future, we are going to be facing many more complex hazards and disasters, things that we can't even think of at this point, with climate change, with superstorms, with cyber security. And so I think just anticipating how we need to plan for those very challenging disasters is something that is going to be difficult going forward, and something we need to think about now.
So I'll say the challenge is to do the training in a way which makes kids more resilient and stronger, and without traumatizing them in the process. And that takes a lot of planning. It takes many practice events to bring some of our students that already have mental health difficulties, to bring them along and use this as a therapeutic approach, planning for an actual event, and do that in steps so that by the time we get there, that student is feeling safe because of the good practice they've had.
Definitely technology, the role that technology plays in a lot of different facets of emergency and disaster planning. I think that's been a common thread through a lot of the presentations. It certainly is our bias and our interest in attending this conference. But more than that, I think emergence and more ad hoc approaches to what's typically been a traditional command and control world. I think that's a very interesting dynamic.
I think everyone sort of faces different challenges, whether you're looking at a university, a college, or a high school. I think the reality is that in our college, trying to sort of advance our policies was always a huge issue, and I think we're finally sort of getting to the point where if you're putting really good policies in place, then your programs develop better and you can work on prevention and awareness. I think there's been a lack of communication on our part, so we're sort of trying to figure that out and trying to improve on that. Sometimes financing is an issue when we want to put effective programs in place due to lack of funding. That's not always possible, so sort of looking at that challenge and see how we can go around it and still trying to achieve our goals.
I think the first greatest challenge is the "it can't happen here" mentality. And if we look at it, it can't happen here is happening somewhere right now as we speak. And so if we can overcome that challenge, then we can begin to embrace the realities of our world.
Depending on the situation, there's probably a lot more than three, but one of the biggest challenges I could think of is the time to plan. There's been so many mandates from departments of education and what's expected of students to learn, and measuring teachers' growth, how much growth the students have, that kind of thing. So I think one of the biggest challenges is finding time to plan, to put these drills together. So that in and of itself could be a full-time job for some. I think another challenge that we have is the mental health piece. Children come to us with so many different things in their backpacks. The mental health of parents, their mental health of family members, their own mental health. And then how are we going to be able to address those in the event of an emergency and to help them heal moving forward. And then as far as a third challenge is the resources, the cost of doing these kinds of things. I think if there was more support from local or national financial support, that would be very helpful in our planning and process.
I think just hearing different perspectives of all of the people that are here and interacting with people from different walks of life, different institutions, K through 12, it's really valuable to take those perspectives back because I think we're all stuck in a little bubble where we work a lot, and so it's great to interact and hear all the speakers and all the things they're saying and kind of bring that back and put them into perspective at our own institutions.
Yes, that's already been going around in my head. It's been an opportunity already at this event to hear many wonderful things people are doing, so I can see components that I would want to add into what we're doing. And I really look at all of the emergency planning that you need to do, right from an event that is less traumatic or less catastrophic, the death of a student, right through to one that's very catastrophic. All of these things fit together, and so you need to have the school teams and the I work in a high school and an elementary school system, so you need to have your school teams have one integrated approach. You don't want them to have to pull out 55 different manuals for 55 different types of things. So that's been really sweet about the conference so far, is that people do have that integrated experience.
I think it's the technology and the emergence aspect. I think organizations that are dispersed and moving around fairly often and dealing with things that aren't necessarily predictable. These are, I think, the issues that are coming front and center in the next few years.
I think networking is so important, and just sort of recognizing and seeing what other colleges, universities do, high schools do, and sort of keeping on with those relationships so that we could depend on one another when we have ideas or things that we want to sort of start up. We can communicate with them and contact them. The tools that we've sort of acquired to listening to the different speakers is extremely important, to sort of see what is going on in their schools, what can we take back and sort of incorporate, change, not reinvent, but sort of just really incorporate so that our policies are better in place, our procedures, our prevention programs, our awareness programs. So for me, it's really important to sort of network, communicate, see what everybody else is doing, the tools that I can bring back.
One of the most exciting things is seeing a room full of advocates. And I talk about advocates being important to the process. It is fabulous seeing the number of folks here from across not just Canada but the US as well, really focused on what they can do to make their emergency preparedness better.
Collaborative, I would say listening, because I think we all talk a lot in our lives, but listening really helps us with these types of events, and so that's a very good thing to do here. And I would say perspective, because we get a lot of different perspectives, and that really helps us build our own programs when we go back.
Opportunity, rehearsal, and networking.
I would recommend this event. I think, like I said, it's a great networking event. I think there's a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different ideas coming from different parts of the country, and so that's quite useful. And I would recommend anybody to attend EDP.
Fun. I guess, like I said, networking, really important, effective communication, and picking up tools and skills, I guess, for me. That's how, it's more than 3 words, but I guess for me that's what I sort of take every time I come here, is to sort of see what's going on, and has anything improved, has anything changed, can we incorporate anything at our college that would sort of help us achieve our goals.
So I'm American, and one of the things that is always entertaining about visiting our neighbors to the north is there's a kindness, a gentleness, a politeness, but there's also a little bit of fierce in Canadians.
Well, one thing I noticed is the passion. People are passionate about keeping their kids safe. I think that was evident. Another word I think is organization. Being able to sit down and talk to other leaders in neighboring districts around the country and out of the country. So I think that's a key. And a third word. This sounds silly, but information. There's just so much here to learn. So I guess it would be kind of an information slash learn, probably 4 words. But there's lots of great ideas, lots of great speakers. So that's going to be my takeaway.